This is No Frills ASMR. I was just listening to a podcast called The Dream, and I like that podcast. The very first season was really good, and then it sort of hit or miss since then. But today's episode, they had a woman on, and The Dream is kind of it's often about MLMs, and sometimes kind of cult adjacent MLM behavior. But anyway, she had on a woman who was part of an MLM called Juice Plus. And so they were talking about that, and that was whatever, it was okay. But towards the end, this woman mentioned a condition that I had never heard of. Or if I have, I've forgotten it. And that is, this pen is Orthorexia. I have to get some new pens. Have you guys heard of this? I was like so unfamiliar. And she said what it is different from, other sorts of disordered eating. I don't think it's even recognized as an actual, like on the, what they call it, DSM or whatever at this point. But let's try it again. This one isn't any darker. But what it is a form of orthorexia. Wait, I forgot what I'm doing. Disordered eating, where you're obsessed with nutritional value of food. I think that's kind of what she said about it. And I was like, light bulb. Because not only have I almost been there, but I am not, what's the word? I'm not a person who sticks to rules enough to actually get all the way. But this idea that like certain foods are unhealthy or extremely healthy, and you will only eat the extremely healthy foods, to the point where sometimes it causes you to become malnourished, or like only drinking a certain type of water, things like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, in my life, I've known vegans who were so strict that it was like caused social anxiety and issues socially. And then paleo, who like can't eat at restaurants because they might use certain oils on the grill, even if they say they don't, and just a lot of rules around food to the point of causing stress and anxiety and antisocial kind of behavior. I was like, wait, what? So anyway, I was going to research it, but time is something I don't have at the moment. So I thought that we could just kind of look it up on the Google here and see what we find. So they say orthorexia, and I don't know what this is, eatingdisorders.org, Australia, is a term that describes an obsession with eating healthy food. It comes from the Greek word ortho, meaning correct, and orexia or orexis, meaning appetite. A person with orthorexia is fixated with the quality rather than the quantity of their food to an excessive degree. I mean, this is kind of new to me, guys. Let's look at this National Institute of Health here. Hold on. Okay. An obsession with healthy eating. Despite a focus on eating, orthorexia nervosa may lead to malnourishment, loss of relationships, and poor quality of life. I mean, you'd have to be pretty extreme, but I've seen it like in my own life, for real. Like where people, you want to go to a restaurant, they're like, oh, I can't eat there because they use seed oils or there's dairy. Sometimes they might use butter and stuff, and it's like messing with their life. first named by Steve Bratman in 1997. Okay, they don't tell us who Steve Bratman is, so we may have to look him up. Is he like a scientist? Bratman. How much teasing did he get for the name Bratman? Okay, correct appetite is classified as an unspecified feeding and eating disorder in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Disorders, 5th edition. Oh, so it is in the DSM-5. I don't know why I thought that lady said I wasn't. Okay. Hypothetical case. Okay. Mr. P is a 30-year-old male who presented to the mental health clinic with his wife. The patient recounted that he had wanted to be healthy since childhood and has focused on exercise and proper diet. But anxiety about food and food intake have steadily increased. 2 years ago, he adopted a vegetarian diet by progressively eliminating several foods and food groups from his diet. He now feels proud to eat certain organically grown fruits. Oh yeah, organic. That's the other thing. And clean. Vegetables, nuts, beans, and drink only. I'm sorry, I gotta reread that. He's proud to eat certain organically grown fruits, vegetables, nuts, beans, and drink only fruit and vegetable juice. His wife has stated that he spent between 3 and 5 hours daily preparing food or talking to friends and family about correct foods to eat. He also believed that errors in dietary habits caused physical or mental illness. He reported significant guilt and shame whenever he slips up on his dietary regimen and eats anything containing seafood, beef, or pork products, which he corrects by a day of fasting. Oh my gosh. His wife was frustrated because he refused to go to restaurants and started declining offers from friends to eat dinner at their homes unless he could bring his prepared food. I've had this exact thing. He describes feeling annoyed when he sees other people eating fast food or meat. Mr. P reported no significant medical or surgical history. His family history was significant for anxiety in his mother. He used to drink alcohol socially but ceased a few years ago due to its carbohydrate content. He never smoked or used illicit drugs. A mental status exam revealed a thin man who appeared his stated age. He was cooperative, casually dressed, and made fair eye contact. He spoke clearly with an anxious tone and appropriate rate and volume. His affect was congruent with stated anxious mood. He was alert, awake, and oriented to person, place, and time. He reported no paranoia, auditory or visual hallucinations, and suicidal or homicidal ideations. A physical exam revealed a thin male in no distress who measured 5'10", weighed 145 pounds. That's pretty skinny. Yeah, which yielded a body mass index of 20.8. His vitals included temperature of 98, blood pressure 115/76, pulse 74, and oxygen saturation of 98%. The remaining physical exam revealed no abnormalities. Complete blood count, thyroid, urinalysis, urine drug screen, normal. Okay, so anyway, they seem to think it might have an overlap with like OCD or anxiety, things like that. I don't know. I was just like, what? I see how this could so easily happen. It makes me think of Gwyneth Paltrow, who, from what I've seen, and I don't like watch her stuff really, but I've seen bits and pieces where she's so obsessed with everything that goes in her body. Oh, or you know that guy on Netflix who's trying to live forever, and he's like taking 500 pills a day and all that. That's got to be part of that. You know, and then the reason on the podcast, The Dream, she brought it up is because with this MLM juice company she worked for, that was kind of part of how they pull you in is with this whole like, all these things are poison and the world's food is trying to poison you, and you need to have these, green juice powders and green juice drinks that are all organic and pure, and it's the only way. Yeah, I feel like a lot of wellness stuff revolves around convincing you that you're poisoning your body with food. I don't know. What do you guys think? Have you guys heard of this? I feel like I know all sorts of stuff about, me, I know everything. But I hadn't really heard this word. I was like, it's like a light bulb went off. Let's see what they say here. What is this cause? This is Wikipedia. Psychological causes: perfectionism, body dissatisfaction, anxiety or history of anxiety. Social and cultural: exposure to media promoting unrealistic body ideals, being bullied about weight, or family trauma. I think that media thing's probably a big part of it. All these people are like, I hate to say it, but like basically if you have anything wrong with you, they're like, well, if you just ate clean, if you just gave up sugar, if you just gave up dairy, if you, it's like, ugh, ugh, ugh. How do I go to the whole Wikipedia? Say here. I don't get it. How do I click on it? Here. This one goes up. Oh, here we go. Okay. It's a proposed. See, I'm confused. They keep saying proposed. Eating disorder characterized by an excessive preoccupation with eating healthy food by physician Stephen Bratman. Didn't say what kind of physician, but okay. Who suggested that some people's dietary restrictions intended to promote health may paradoxically lead to unhealthy consequences, such as social isolation. So they're saying it's not as much about, like other disordered eating is about, it can be dangerous because you are malnourished or whatever. But this one's a lot more, it seems like, about the social and anxiety issues. I've seen it. I have seen it. Although they do say malnutrition too. This differs from eating disorders, where those affected focus on the quantity of food eaten. So this isn't about quantity, it's about like quality, basically. They're solely concerned with the quality of the food they put in their body, refining and restricting their diets according to their personal understanding of which foods are truly pure. Yeah, their personal understanding is interesting because, we've all been around the vegan who thinks their diet is the perfect diet that'll cure everything. The paleo people who think that, who believe, no seed oils, no, what do they have? No grain. This is no dairy, no meat, no eggs. I forget now what's paleo. No grain, no seeds. And then basically no food that isn't whole food is what, I don't know, like no, I can't remember all the rules. What other ones are there? Carnivore, where you don't eat anything but meat. But all these people pushing these things are like, if you have any of these things, I think paleo also, they're like pretty particular about the type of water that you drink. And that you're supposed to have a lot, but it has to be like some kind of, I don't know if it has to be distilled or I don't remember, some special water. What other things? I don't know. I did that whole video where I talked about all the diets I've been on. It's kind of like this. All right. It also differs from anorexia in that it does not disproportionately affect one gender. Studies have found that orthorexia nervosa is equally found in both men and women, with no significant gender differences at all. Furthermore, research has found significant positive correlations between orthorexia and both narcissism and perfectionism, but no significant correlation between orthorexia and self-esteem. This suggests that intense orthorexia nervosa individuals likely take pride over their healthy eating habits over others, and that is the driving force behind their orthorexia as opposed to body image. Yeah, on the Dream podcast, the woman said that. She said she thinks, like when she got into selling the juice, that part of what they train you is that you're kind of better than everybody else because you are doing this green juice and this very healthy way of living. And it's sort of this pride that you're better. So if anybody tells you, hey, you're in an MLM or you're like drinking too much juice and not eating, then you say, no, you're wrong because I'm smarter and better and no more. So I think that's kind of part of that. It is not a recognized eating disorder by American Psychiatric Association. Okay. Symptoms include obsessive focus on food choice, planning, purchase, preparation, and consumption. Food regarded primarily as a source of health rather than pleasure. Distress or disgust when in proximity to prohibited foods. Exaggerated faith that inclusion or elimination of particular kinds of food can prevent or cure disease or affect daily well-being. Periodic shifts in dietary beliefs while other processes persist unchanged. Periodic shifts in dietary while other. I don't know. Moral judgment of others based on dietary choices. Yeah, that moral judgment of others. Body image distortion around sense of physical impurity rather than weight. Persistent belief that dietary practices are health promoting despite evidence of malnutrition. Interesting. I don't know. You guys think this is a real thing or just one of those things they talk about? Psychological influences. Pattern of perfectionism or a need for control. I do think a lot of times food issues are a need for control over your environment or whatever. Violation of self-imposed dietary rules causes exaggerated fear of disease, sense of personal impurity, or negative physical sensations accompanied by anxiety and shame. Oh. Dietary restrictions escalate over time and may come to include elimination of entire food groups and involve progressively more frequent and or severe cleanses, partial fast, regarded as purifying or detoxifying. Yep. This escalation commonly leads to weight loss, but the desire to lose weight is absent, hidden, or subordinated to ideation about healthy food. Yeah, I don't think it's absent. It's they say, no, I'm doing this to detoxify. But it's, I have thoughts about the whole fasting. Impaired epidemiology. Well, they got a lot to say here, don't they? Correct appetite. Oh, he was looking at people who healthy eating commonly originate in one or another dietary theory, such as raw food. Yeah, some people believe that eating all your food raw. I remember when Kramer on Seinfeld did that. Or macrobiotics. But are then taken to extremes, leading to disordered eating patterns and psychological or physical impairment. Eeks. Anyway, just started looking at this, and then I was like, oh, wow. Some researchers suggest that orthorexia should be diagnosed as OCD because it's driven by an obsession for attaining a perfect diet. I don't know about that. Maybe. I mean, I'm sure that's... I don't know. But I know one time when I was doing... It was a 30-day challenge that I did a couple of times where you exercised every day. And then I think it was basically a paleo diet. But the woman, it was online. And the woman who ran it was very... like, no seed oils, no this, no that. And if you go to a restaurant, you have to ask them if they... And it's just like, I was like, oh, I don't want to have to ask all the questions. So I just ate at home all the time because, I didn't want to be a pain in the butt in there. But that's where you stop being social, and you can drink, and you can drink coffee. And it's like... I don't know, and you weren't to have any dairy, which I love. You guys know I'm a milk fiend. I don't know. I'm just fascinated because I think I probably fall under this sometimes. I think it's interesting. Something to look out for. Anyway, I don't know if I'll post this, but I was looking at it, so I thought I'd film